The map movements of the teams will change because there's a lot of changes about it. First, it's like the most important is the vision one. You have to ward more often, and also you have less wards in your pockets, so you have to ward smarter. And now it's like more interesting to see what every team will make on the map, because there are actually options right now. You can play not only around Nashor after 20 minutes.
Welcome back to our continuing coverage of the European LCS. We just heard from Diamond Prox because it's time for the Unicorns of Love versus Fnatic in our next game of the day. We heard from the man himself there, and yesterday I said a fantastic start for the Unicorns of Love in their game versus OG. A lot to do with Diamond once again, but they seem to be going back to the same ideas over and over.
It was a good start for them versus Origin with the little misplay that Origin had, but then it seemed like they were just on a very predictable path, and Unicorns just kept trying to force themselves in and into fights. And you know, with the team composition that they had yesterday, it looked good. What should be good, but there's like a little bit of a change that
at first glance that comp is actually good, but you know, but then you realize they put Corki bot and Ezreal mid, and then you start asking a lot of questions. They suddenly have losing lanes. All the map plays are relatively predictable. The only play they made was a screw up from Origin itself in communication, and then they went too deep a couple of times, and Origin was ready for them waiting. I wouldn't put too much blame here on the Unicorns. In terms, the only thing they could have done is pull the trigger a little quicker on that final play they made in the top lane where they went for a really big engage. I think they were like 5,000 or 6,000 gold down right there. They should have maybe realized that they were falling more and more behind and pulled the trigger more quickly. But in terms of VOD review, it's really easy for them to sort out. Like, Ezreal should have not been mid, it should have been Corki if you want to play that type of style. And that's pretty much it. At that point, the game was snowballing out of control. Yeah,
there was also immediately mea culpa from Diamond on Twitter as well, saying mistakes were made with picks and bans. We stay strong. We look to improve. So they're definitely introspective in that way, and they realize their mistakes. If they want to fix them, now they're up against Fnatic, which is going to push them all the way to the edge, because that'll be a tough opponent.
Yeah, it is going to be a tough opponent. Now, I think there are slightly bigger problems than just picks and bans. I feel like just because there was a swap, I don't think that would have won them the game either for the Unicorns. It seemed like when their very clear game plan that Diamond normally would have set in the first two games we've seen got shifted off course, they were just like, well, we kind of have to fight, and if this fight doesn't work, we don't really know what to do. So they need a bit more of a solid basis.
Just in terms of this matchup, Unicorns of Love against Fnatic, I feel a style that H2K played yesterday was actually efficient against Fnatic in the early game, but that's a style, for people that didn't watch the game, it was very macro heavy, very split push heavy, where you chip away at towers and you don't actually come into the team fight. Fnatic, as of late, has been drafting very team fight heavy compositions, but Unicorns of Love in its current iteration, I don't think is good enough to play that macro style. Very few teams in Europe are good enough to play that macro style. So the Unicorns will have to play skirmish and teamfight. I think Fnatic in its current form already is better than them. So I don't see what the Unicorns can do except Diamond going absolutely nuts with ganks in the early game to break Spirit. That will actually win them the match from a strategy point of view.
To break Spirit and their Spirit. I love that you brought up the H2K versus Fnatic matchup, because we've discussed a lot already about tactically high play, but was that because it was coming from H2K side and Fnatic had to roll with it and made those engages, or not? And we have a little bit of the comms of Fnatic to listen into, because the games were decided over 3 big team fights, so let's take a listen.
Corki is going but they're all here.
I can flank from here.
Corki is almost by the way.
I can flank from here.
Oh, they're backing.
You can try now.
Look.
Try. Go. Look. Corki.
Can reach.
We can. Nice. Lulu. What? Slow.
Lulu here.
Lulu. Nice. Fiora. Nice. Go mid. We can take Baron, also respawn, no?
So I like what Fevin did there at the end. So he was actually looking at the big play where he went for the Fnatic did go for that Baron after Ace. Yeah, so they were ready for that play. There was very little counterplay once the play was set in motion, so we can't really judge too much on the shot calling. What I did note, it was rather chaotic, and if we had some clips last year, obviously we only have a couple of snippets. I think Fnatic last year with Yellowstar in the roster was a lot more controlled. I felt there's more calm voices there, where it's just like raw information. This felt very stage 1 of building shot calling, where everybody's like shouting information and just adding things to the pile.
Yeah, they are working. Of course, it's a work in progress, and I do believe that the players are ready. So let's get into that game and go to Quick Shot and the Fish Show for picks and bans.
Thank you very much. Before we load into game, let's quickly run down the rosters for the 2-1 Fnatic, starting on the blue side with Gamsu in the top lane, Spirit in the jungle, Fabivin in the mid lane, Reckless AD carry, Noxiac the support, and returning on stage as the coach, it is of course Daylor.
Yeah, and of course we have the Unicorns of Love on the red side of the stage as well. We have Visichachi in the top lane, Diamond in the jungle, Fox as the mid laner, Steelback as the AD carry, Hillsang his support, and Sheepy is still the coach, of course, for the Unicorns of Love. Analyst has talked about it super quickly. I think the pick and ban phase yesterday, I could see what they were trying to build. I think it's a very hard comp to execute, and I really dislike Ezreal mid compared to Corki mid. I think Ezreal mid offers very, very little. Don't get the same kind of power spikes before really late game. And when you play like these double AD carry setups, you often don't want to go too late game. You want to be able to, you know, really snowball in the mid game, and they couldn't do that. So expecting some new pick and bans. Unicorns are on the red side though. So they might have to ban against GP, Lulu. I think you have to ban Lissandra against Fabivin after what he showed yesterday. And that makes it tricky, because then the stuff like Tahm Kench could be open for Fnatic if they want to play it.
Well, let's see if UOL agree. Gangplank off, no real surprise there.
I like the first ban.
15 out of 18 games or 16 out of 18 games. Kindred follow-up. Interesting because Spirit actually played that yesterday. So jungle champions taking a hit here from Fnatic.
Okay, we talked about Lissandra, how you have to ban it against Fabivin, at least in my opinion. Fnatic saying they don't want to first pick Tahm Kench because they're expecting Lulu probably to come in as the last ban. But Fnatic were basically saying Diamond is the big carry in the early game for Unicorns of Love, so he's the guy we look to target. I think Alistar is a perfectly fine first pick. To me, that is basically why they banned Tahm Kench. Saying, you know what, we want to put value in getting the best support in our mind, instead of getting a Tahm Kench first pick. So they banned that one away, and also you avoid Unicorns leaving both Tahm Kench, Lulu, and taking that OP pick trade that we often see.
So Noxiac, second time playing Alistar, he went 0-8 last time he played that game.
You almost have to go Kalista now if you're Unicorn.
That's what I was going to say.
Kalista, Alistar is so good together, especially against the Ryze. Like, you can shut him down in teamfights so effectively with double CC, so I think this is smart from Unicorns of Love. Ryze is still a power pick, but he's a risky one. He needs the team around him, especially the jungler in the early game. And that kind of shuts down what Unicorns have been doing in the early game, because I feel like the freedom Diamond has in the early game to pick whatever lane to set up with his side lanes where he wants to gank gets kind of shut down a little bit if you have a Ryze sitting in the mid lane, because he needs you to babysit him. And also Fnatic can obviously see it so early, so they can draft a comp with, you know, good amounts of either poke or good amounts of engage to shut him down.
So poke, Corki's still up. Lucian's still up as well, completely fallen off in favor this week in comparison to last. But
Corki would be good.
Should expect the Corki again, flex, so is the Graves.
I like
Flex
this.
top or jungle, so Fnatic still with more options to play their hands.
I really think this is a strong pick and ban phase from Fnatic. Again, all the flex picks, they haven't shown anything other than Alistar's support. And I like Graves as well in some of these siege comps with like multiple AD carries, because he has great wave clear, good poke with the Q. If someone is standing next to that turret, it's very easy for you to shoot your Q end of the line into the turret, and it will proc instantly and deal a ton of damage. And people get caught out then, and you can then burst him down with your ulti as well. So I really like this setup against the Ryze, because again, he struggles in the early stages of the game, and his wave clear is so difficult to use when people are sieging on you. So I really like what Fnatic is doing.
For Fnatic, showing again a completely different face. Last week they ran the same comp twice. This week, completely different. They have double AD carries. One of them maybe in the jungle. We'll see if Gamsu wants to run it up top. Rek'Sai and Thresh. So Diamond Prox electing to let the Lee Sin go. What does Spirit run in the jungle?
He has played Zac before.
Or does Gamsu play top?
Yeah, if Fnatic wants another tank, you take the Zac here. For him, Olaf is available. I don't think it's a great jungle pick at the moment though. Coming in for Spirit, Lee Sin is there if he wants early game. I know he likes to play in Italy. We saw it at IEM. We've seen it before.
Only saw it at IEM.
We only saw it. I think potentially pick a top laner who can flex.
So that's locked in.
That's like, okay, that's locked in. Okay, so that's what they're doing. Poppy can go both jungle and top for them. LPL plays a lot of top lane Poppy. No region has really spammed jungle Poppy too much. It's kind of the weaker of the roles for her, but it's still a good pick. So Unicorns don't 100% know where it's going. They should expect it to be Poppy top lane and Graves jungle most likely.
Unless Pulse's wish comes true and it's AP Alistair top.
It's not AP Alistair.
I'm just saying
top.
it as a joke, just to humor him. But no, so we will expect that Poppy top for UOL. Fox has to decide what he's going to run in that middle lane into Ahri.
Give me a LeBlanc, man.
Scaling, if you go Orianna, a lot of team fight power, but against Corki, Ahri, Graves, Poppy.
Okay.
So slow to start.
Yeah, Unicorns might want wave clear here because they're against Corki and Graves. And as we start talking about it, they pick Zed.
So you've got some wave clear, you've got split push. That means Chachi rise top.
Yeah. This is a very, very lane-focused comp from Unicorns. With Kalista, Thresh, the strongest 2v2 probably in the game, or one of the strongest at least being played at the moment. Zed as well early on.
It's his third time playing that champion.
Yeah.
He is...
I mean, he had some good games on it in the start. I think he had some misplays on it, but overall the result was good for the Unicorns of Love because they enabled him as a split pusher really effectively. And we do get the Poppy top as we talked about, and Graves in the jungle. So Unicorns are really, really focused on this laning phase here. And you have fine early game jungler to gank at least. You will lose the duel against the Graves in terms of damage, but your ganking is strong with the Rek'Sai. You have Zed who can obviously all in at level 6. Kalista Thresh can always kill people from level 2 basically. So very, very strong lanes if you look at mid and bot lane. Ryze will need some assistance though. You can't leave him alone because Poppy will just smack him into a wall, follow in by Graves, and then when Ryze is stuck in the wall, into the line burst will just one-shot him. So like that 2v2 for Fnatic on the top side of the map will be super scary.
All about the walls for both Poppy and Graves. This was the premier matchup of the spring split last year. Let's see if UOL can bounce back from the defeat yesterday. Hashtag FNC win. If you think Fnatic can secure themselves another win on the week, or hashtag UOL win, I think the Unicorns will be picking this one up. We are jumping into game, and unfortunately there is a very brief pause.
So good, more talking.
We'll get that resolved, but interesting team composition. Yesterday, let's be honest, most of the guys behind the camera did not like the UOL team comp. What do you think today? Are you a little bit more happy?
I always like Kalista Thresh together. I think that's super strong. I think it was a bit risky with the Zed pick in the mid lane, taking that skill matchup against Febiven, therefore sacrificing quite a lot of your wave clear, because when you play Zed, you obviously want to put him in a side lane after laning phase so you can split push.
Yeah.
But that leaves Kalista in your mid lane. And Kalista wave clear is really weak. Even with Hurricane, if people are pushing up on you, it's very difficult for you to properly wave clear. So when you are against Corki, Graves, Ahri, like that's enough range champions to group mid and punish that Kalista. Also,
the threat of dives from Noxx.
Yeah, exactly. Like you have the Alistar coming in. Poppy dives as well are super, super strong because again, you are stuck near walls and towers when you're standing there, and people can dive you in every single lane, honestly. So I think it's a very risky composition Unicorns are running. Also because the Ryze doesn't really fit the rest. You got late game scaling who needs some assistance, and then you got very focused on early game elsewhere, where normally you would want to put your jungler to help and snowball those lanes.
Let's see if Diamond can do it, because last week Diamond's early game impact was really, really impressive.
It was.
There's going to be some pressure once again to get one of these lanes ahead, because, for sure, you've mentioned it, pick some bands. Laning phase could be very, very crucial here for UOL.
Yeah, and I think Fnatic should just lane swap in this game here. You don't really want to deal with Kalista Thresh. Poppy into Ryze can be tricky in the early game. Ryze does really well into melee champions. So you just lane swap it, deny the Ryze. Also, it opens up the map very quickly by taking down the tier 1 towers, and Ryze, who's so slow, walking, who has no gap closers or anything, against Ahri, Graves, Poppy, like so many things that are going to catch him out, and if he gets knocked into one wall, he gets bursted down so quickly up top. So I really think lane swap is going to be the key. And you can see Unicorns, what they're doing here is instead of walking in and like warding at level 1, they rush to the tower with Steelback and Hylissang, and they hide behind towers. So Fnatic hasn't seen them. And normally you want to put down these wards from Fnatic, so you spot when Unicorns are walking from base to whatever lane they're picking with their dual lane. They don't see this now, because Hylissang and Steelback rushed there and are hid behind the tower. So Unicorns are basically saying, you want to lane swap? We want to counter lane swap, so we're hiding up here. And Fnatic, they're now walking top with Alistar and Corki, so Unicorns of Love, it pays off hiding on the turret. Fnatic ends up in a 2v2. Not what they were looking for.
No, not at all. Let's see if Steelback and Hylissang have what it takes to challenge Reckless and Noxiac. Thunderlords all the way around. 3 on each side as well as that battle for Steelback. So Reckless and Noxiac going to realize they're now...
They didn't even do a camp on the side of
behind
Fnatic.
The levels as well.
Yeah, because again, they thought it was going to be a lane swap, and they wanted to join in a little bit late in case a ward would spot them, so Unicorns couldn't react in time. They didn't get a camp. Hylissang can all in level 2. He has Ignite as well, so like it's a very strong level 2 for Unicorns of Love.
So good start then by Unicorns of Love. Early game decision making, they approached the laning phase with a clear plan, and they've got themselves the potential to grow an advantage. And you can already see how far back Reckless and Noxiac are playing.
Yeah, Hylissang just needs to stay in this bush all the way up in the front. Just to have the threat of him landing a hook into an all-in. Diamond as well is nearby. So we need to see how Diamond decides to play the early game. Because we talked about how Kalista, Thresh, super good 2v2. Mid lane as well, if you can snowball that one, go for it. But also Ryze is a guy who needs assistance. So I just need to see where Diamond wants to go. If he's snowballing lanes or if he's helping.
Well, let's find out. Sentence connects, but Hylissang's just zoning away Reckless and Noxiac. Nothing really to speak of. But looking at Steelback, something not mentioned just yet is how if Gamsu's in the right place, his W, that steadfast presence, is just going to completely nullify the power of Kalista's teamfight mobility.
As long as he can get to him in the back line. Yes. Let's see Hylissang here. He's out of mana now. They went for another all-in because Steelback hit level 3 earlier. So big wave coming in for Fnatic. They're going to look to clear that out. Should have some relic stacks as well to get the farm. And I like this because Spirit has been very active in the enemy jungle in all the games we've seen from Fnatic. It's something obviously he's done back in LPL as well, very often. So he moves in and places a ward on the Wolf camp. So now he sees Diamond on the bottom side. He knows exactly where he is. He can communicate to his team. We've seen the jungler. He's not on top side. And Fnatic don't have to fear anything at the moment. They're going to spot him again now. So it's just a lot of information. And these good junglers can very easily communicate, okay, is he gonna back now? He's done this amount of camps, so he's probably sitting on this amount of farm. Yes, good chance he's backing. Or is he moving to the opposite side to farm more? They keep seeing where he's going, and now he's on the Grump. And again, they know it. Spirit is spot as well, though.
Yeah, stood on top of the ward, so Diamond will be able to respond if needed. No real threat of a stun here from Gamsu on that poppy. Chachi's going to get caught out with the red, but
the tower
puts a root down, and no end of the line bounce back from that water balloon. So Chachi walks away. He was low on mana anyway. He still has teleport available. Gamsu TP'd in at level 1 or 2, so he is on cooldown. And this will give Chachi a little bit of an advantage in this lane. Very early tier to start that stacking.
Yeah, very standard for him.
Yeah.
Didn't have to use the flash. He knew Diamond was nearby. Obviously had spotted Spirit on the ward. Top lane, a little bit sad for Reckless. Obviously it's pushing away from him at the moment, so it's very difficult for him to farm. He has to again respect Hylissang and the all-in. Needs to respect the fact that Diamond has been seen for the last, you can say, 30 seconds after he recalled from the bot side, so he could be up here now. And he is in the river. There's no ward from Fnatic to spot him. One hook from Hylissang, and that's at least a flash.
So Hylissang's going to start charging up. Will connect on to Noxiac. Flash is available. Diamond
and then Fnatic moves back.
Fnatic were able to peel backwards. There's a ping onto Spirit's location from Diamond. Tremor Sense will spot him out.
This is a very interesting thing with Rek'Sai. There's a champion who had received quite a lot of nerfs, and there are other champions in the jungle who were stronger early game than Rek'Sai. But then with the whole vision change we saw in the off-season, the Tremor Sense just becomes so much more powerful for Rek'Sai to see, okay, where's the enemy jungler, what's happening, because again, you can't spam the same amount of wards. And you can use that information really well.
Especially a jungler like Diamond who's got so much experience on the stage. We did catch a quick glimpse there of Fox. He's just hit 6. Febiven has the makings of a roam. I'm very interested to see how this skill matchup plays out. Both mid laners running Ignite, both looking to impact the side lanes. And Febiven is just consistently showing up on the stage. He played LeBlanc earlier in the split and truthfully had game-changing plays. Gamsu.
He just wants to push it into tower and then go back to base. He's tired of his charging.
Yeah. Don't want none of your nonsense. It's on cooldown a little over 2 minutes. So
we've seen though the laning phase why the Unicorns of Love put everything into getting that 2v2 on top side, hiding under the tower from the start, sacrificing a few level 1 wards for it. And it really paid off, because Ryze has been winning the bot lane, range champion into a melee champion. Poppy doesn't really have anything she can do there. Kalista Thresh so strong in 2v2. So Unicorns are getting what they want from the early game. Free farm basically in every single lane. Poppy as well. I mean, Poppy wants to scale now. She wants to get super tanky, get that 12% and 24%. Like, she does so well with tanky items. But she needs to get them first. She needs to get a little bit towards the late game.
Somewhat expected maybe from UOL.
Oh, this is the expected start with the lane setup, yes.
And again, because of how cheeky UOL were at the start. Get past those wards, get up to the tower, like, call Fnatic's bluff, and get yourselves into a comfortable position. You know, Fox, he's been farming up for a while, got himself that Hex Drinker, sitting on about 1,000 gold to the double Doran's cloth armor. Fans, still voting in favor of Fnatic, and oh, look at that, Deathmark goes down, that will pop. But Spirit has now joined the fight. Collateral damage is available, will shoot out, but no bounce back from end of the line. Febiven actually Spirit rushed forward. Down in the bottom lane, I can see Gamsu. Now he's the one that's in a little bit of trouble. Room Prison into Overload into Room Prison. Chachi is trying to combo him down. There's no Keeper's Verdict, so he's not going to be able to get the knockaway. Gamsu drops to 250 HP, and now Spirit is in range. There is no collateral damage. He used it mid, and Spirit realizes he can't go toe-to-toe without any additional MR or HP.
A lot of trading in the lanes here. Febiven, he knew exactly where Zed would spawn after the ult. He just right behind him and he just fires the charm, connects it, forcing the Zed to back away. No reason to use any summoners. Smart play by him, but trouble in the bottom lane for sure for Gamsu. Fnatic honestly had time to recall and change the lanes up if they wanted to, but because the lanes have been pushed down, they were afraid of losing too many minions and too much damage on the towers, honestly, and that's why they said, okay, let's just keep standard laning for now, even though we're going to get further and further behind, and that's a big issue.
It's time to tower dive. Noxiac does not have access to his unbreakable will. 4 members of the Unicorns of Love are going under the tower. Reckless flashed away. Now he's trying to keep in safety. Actually Valked to stay alive, but UOL grabbed themselves the first kill.
Again, this is what happens when you're just losing multiple lanes at once. Gamsu's going in on Chachi, though.
Gamsu's going to knock Chachi against the wall. Keeper's Verdict just to hold him in place. Spirit's moving forward. Collateral damage and end of the line. Secure a kill. It's 1 for 1.
All right, it's a good response here from Fnatic, but they're losing top tower. And again, you've just been consistently pushed down to your tower. It's just a matter of time before the enemy team shows up with 2 or 3 extra guys, and then they dive you and kill you. Poor Noxiac wasn't level 6, and Rex just flashed away instantly and left him there.
We're getting to 10 minutes on the clock, and UOL have got a 2,500 gold lead. Look at the gargantuan CS difference between Chachi and Gamsu. And actually, Chachi is the second best player for CSD at 10. Because of how the games have played out, he's traditionally up 13. And Gamsu is the worst at traditionally down 15 versus his opponents.
Yeah, Gamsu definitely the last 2 games struggled in the early game. Also with some of the way the Fnatic were playing out lane swaps, setting in behind, while Chachi and Diamond together have had great synergy. And often we saw Diamond in week 1 get first blood to Chachi, therefore allow him to get some extra farm and win his lane pretty easily. And now it's another one, obviously, gets a great matchup in the 1v1. Fnatic, let's see how they put the lanes, because Gamsu needs to leave that bottom side now that Hylissang and Steelback are here. And obviously for Unicorns of Love, we have seen the strategy. Leave Ryze to farm alone. Yeah. Just let him farm, put up a ward, he can farm, do nothing else. He has a good matchup. And then we play around Steelback and Hylissang with Kalista Thresh. They're gonna do the same now. Get this bot lane tower, super easy. If anyone shows up, you just go kill them again with a dive. And Fnatic have to try and mirror and get the top tower, because otherwise they just keep giving up towers and gaining nothing.
Well, this is very scary for Fnatic. That Chachi's got all this time to just build that power, accelerating himself into this mid game. More of Malmortius already completed for Fox as well.
He has no flash now, though. I like this play from Fnatic. Get the Rift Herald, then go grab the wave top so you can push down this tower fast, because you're behind in tempo right now. Steelback is already on the bot lane tower hitting it, so you need to try and speed it up somehow. Get the Rift Herald and then go gank this Ryze. If he's stuck over the tower, you just kill him instantly, force him away. And if Unicorns stay on the bot side, you have a big enough weight that you might potentially be able to push into tier 2 tower and take that one as well. Maybe. Especially now that Diamond is going to take Dragon, and Unicorns are very slow taking the bot lane tower. Febiven is joining. Fnatic is aiming for 2 towers top.
Charm has to hit here. Febiven actually holds it, uses the Spirit Rush to get away. Gigantic minion wave, and the cannon minions survive.
And now Spirit is coming with the Rift Herald. Unicorns Aloft have no safe wave play. We talked about this in their cup. This is such a good move from Fnatic with the Rift Herald. Build up a big wave, have 4 members join in. Look at the Graves here right next to the tower, the extra damage he's dealing. And you buff up every single minion with 40% attack speed against no proper wave clear from Unicorns. Beautiful play from Fnatic.
Yeah, Vizicachi had just used Desperate Power earlier in the jungle. Diamond was unable to respond with his Void Rush, and Fnatic get themselves 2 towers in the top lane. They're going to move down towards the middle. The package is available for Reckless. The next time he backs, he can respond very, very quickly. Fnatic still got the Rift Herald buff.
Yeah, just keep using it. Again, Zed is the only one here who can clear. He even used his Shadow to deal damage to Spirit instead of clearing out the wave. Mistake in my opinion. Gave some extra damage for Unicorns of Love, or sorry, from Fnatic onto the tower. Very, very good push. All starting with the Rift Herald being used. And Unicorns of Love being very slow at taking bot tower because they also wanted Dragon. So they wanted a bit of everything. And Fnatic trying to even out the gold.
Diamond bringing a little bit of the old Gambit play around Dragon forever flavor. Manages to get the first respect flash from Febiven. Probably not needed, but nevertheless gets himself out. And Unicorns, they still maintain a gold lead, but very clever map play from Fnatic. Allowed themselves to take those top towers, get some wards in the jungle, not the greatest amount. And now we see how they play, because yesterday against H2K, Fnatic had decisive calls in the mid game that punished mistakes from H2K in terms of positioning. UOL theoretically could make similar mistakes. We've seen it from them already this split.
Febiven has ulti now, so he can do something, but obviously Flash is down. Unicorns were trying to fan out. Split in 1-3-1, but obviously you can't do anything bot lane as a Zed versus 3 guys, so they're trying to trade for mid tower. The thing is, pushing mid tower is very difficult, and there is wave clear from Febiven. So right now, again, Fnatic is making a very good decision and saying, like, where can we push at the moment? Can we still defend mid? And Unicorns didn't commit and say, okay, we go all 5 mid then. And we just start rushing down mid tower. Send them back to defend. Give a tower over to Fnatic again. And not really gaining anything, because now Fnatic can move into mid lane and defend their tower as well.
And just like that, Fnatic even it out. We're down 3,000 gold.
That is good shot calling.
Very.
The last 2 minutes for Fnatic. Beautiful play.
Safe and secure.
Could get flanked.
Hylissang is still trying to throw out those death sentences. Hylissang, rather, Diamond and Chachi, they were coming in from behind. Fnatic may have realized the potential risk, and they backed away safely enough. There was lots of people missing from the map.
Yeah, but I really feel like also the last 2 minutes have kind of highlighted some of the issues for Unicorns of Love with their comp again, how difficult it was for them to react and catch that big wave in time, pushing in fast enough, because even the time it takes you to clear a wave in the early game decides how fast you can get to the tier 1 tower and start pushing it. Kalista is very slow there at pushing in as well. So everything just took more time for Unicorn to do, and now you're relying on your 1-3-1 with Ryze. That's going to keep happening, by the way. Gamsu sitting there against him, not being able to do anything other than just pick up some farm at tower, so that's good for Unicorns. The Zed as well on the bottom side, nobody should be able to deal with him right now. Well, actually, no, Febiven can. He has Outlast, so Febiven will be able to hold him.
Hold him.
Probably even kill him. No, he might even be able to kill him.
Good charm, maybe, is what we're looking for. So Febiven, a lot of pressure on him then to help out Fnatic. Although, Reckless has got his Trinity Force, even though he's down in CS. Sork's Shoe's completed as well, so fully activated as far as the mid-game is concerned. This is only the blade that are keeping Steelback. Steelback still charging up, still powering up. And Fnatic have played very clever around the map.
Yeah.
So some more vision, some more clever moves. It will, in theory, open them up to inner turrets or maybe a Baron against no wave clear from UOL.
For now, at least, it gave you the goal lead. And that's all you were looking for. But getting down so many towers because you were really falling behind in lanes. Fnatic had such a hard time in standard lanes. They knew it, we knew it was going to happen. There's nothing Spirit could really do because Graves is not necessarily the best ganking jungler in the world. but he's very strong now at this stage in the game here.
Noxiac is rooted in place by that Rune Prison. We can see Fnatic, they managed to lose the laning phase gracefully. It's a phrase that I heard Crepo saying yesterday, and they've managed to bounce back. They are still in the gold lead by 1,000, and they need to buy time to get Gamsu to be relevant.
And this move here from Unicorns of Love is something they've done before. They like to play 4-1, with one lane being pushed just by minions. So Chachi had set up the top wave, pushing it slow down. Then you have 4 guys moving into mid lane, putting pressure, and you have the Zed normally sitting bot, but they're just gonna all in for tower now. They're trying at least. Noxiac going in.
He's found Chachi. Chachi's underneath the turret. Death Sentence connects onto Feathervent, and then Fate's Call will pull Hylissang backwards. Gamsu sitting in the back line. The Keeper's Verdict has already been swung. The kill is picked up for Feathervent onto Hylissang, and Fnatic are trying to back away. Steelback is still on full HP, and Chachi's got mana to play with. UOL, they're continuing the siege.
Really liked the fighty honesty for both teams, because even though Chachi got caught out, Hylissang was very quick with the Lantern, saves him. He can then still deal some damage, and Unicorns ends up backing away, only losing 1 member. Tower is still alive though. Unicorns are getting a little bit greedy for the objectives. But right here, actually, you wanted to have both mid lane and bot lane pushed by a player. So Zed in the bottom lane, 4 other guys in mid lane. Decided to all in for it, and Fnatic could respond fairly easily. Flash engage from Noxiac, TP in from Gamsu, and the fight is on.
And the fight is won, so Fnatic will get their first taste of Dragon Meat. And contest again, over to UOL to get its into position, so give them a small buff as the game continues to play out. The next target for Fnatic has to be Vision, has to be about trying to avoid it. So here's that replay once again.
Let's see, you can see Fnatic is ready for this play. Featherman is sitting at the Raptor camp, Spirit is flanking as well from the river, so they expected this play to happen. And they finally get a team fight. You get away from some of these losing lanes, you get in 5-on-5, only get a support kill. But you defend your tower, you take a dragon from it, so you gain a whole lot as Fnatic. Because you don't want to deal with Zed too much. I really want to see a one-on-one between him and Featherman, because the Moor is so good against AP champions with that shield to avoid you getting all in. But because of Hourglass, I don't think he can kill Featherman. So you just have like this weird fight where it's kind of yelling at each other and nobody's really doing anything. We need a charger in here.
Alright, we'll see if we can get that 1v1. I imagine the Chachi continues to be a threat in the side lane. Fnatic will have to send some sort of answer. But luckily for Fnatic, they got the wave play of Graves, Ahri, and in case of emergency, fire collateral damage. That can really help clear out. That top wave looks to be
slowly pushing for Fnatic. So Chachi has to go up, clear it out. He has teleport as well. Unicorns can really play the map now and have global advantage. They have to be able to use it. Because again, if you go into another 5-on-5 team fight, it is where Fnatic's comp is going to shine. Very strong team fighters all across the board from Fnatic, and where Unicorns will love like a Zed. It's very difficult for him in fights to find the right target. Chachi at the moment is super strong, but he's fairly squishy. And he's obviously sitting in the front line together with Diamond. And none of them can really tank the amount of damage Fnatic can deal here. So much burst damage from them. But they're looking again for this mid tower.
Gonna group themselves up, clear out that pink ward. Reckless has got access to the package. I think it'll time very soon though, so
Gamsu
in terms of that almost long-range engage, not going to be available. Chachi is with the group, leading the way. Red just 4 stacks. Also, distortion boots picked up for Chachi, so there's teleport flashes. Definitely going to be the name of the day.
But Fnatic shouldn't be allowed right now to push top lane and have Gamsu sit bottom lane and just catch and farm for himself. He has no TP. Featherman went top about teleport. Chachi should have been sitting in that lane already, saying like, no, this is my lane. I have the global. You have to run into mid lane and defend that mid lane, and I get to push out my waves. We can even set up a dive because Gamsu is sitting bot lane with no teleport. But this is where Unicorns now are too passive. Yeah. When they have the chance to pull the trigger and say, we need to make an aggressive play, they don't. And this is buying more time for Fnatic to keep farming out waves. Look at Gamsu now, pushed all the way out, and TP is ready.
Well, very important to note, Gamsu was down
sneaking Baron.
52 CS. It was the great at 20
but
minutes. But look, it's Fnatic. No, UOL pulling a Fnatic.
Apparently that was the plan all along. Ah, the Spooky goes see them.
It will reveal, but it might not be Teleport has been channeled by Gamsu. He's coming into the river. Hylissang has put a defensive box down. But look at the Fate's call. Steelback pulls him away. What was the opportunity cost? More time for Fnatic.
More time.
The teleport and the flash.
Yeah, get another summoner, but last time it didn't do anything that Fnatic had no teleport. Let's see what happens here.
See the rest of Fnatic.
They're killing the ward.
The lane.
Yeah.
There's minions pushing up the Fisher. UOL out of position to defend. They don't have reliable, safe wave clear, so Fnatic will get a lot of damage onto this turret. It's still powering up. We're only 22
Got
minutes
teleport.
Diamond's coming in from the side. Not going to be able to find a really useful knockup, and Reckless has taken him out of the fight already. Chachi's found Spirit, and there's this fight. Featherfit and Chachi, but Gamsu's jumped in as well. Keeper's Verdict will knock him up into the air, and Reckless will find himself a double kill. Steelback wants to get a kill, but Featherfit goes golden. He survives the fight, flashes away to safety before Fox shuts him down. Steelback has got 1,000,000 targets, arrows in Reckless, and he rends him for the triple.
That was such a good team fight for the Unicorns of Love, especially Steelback played it so well, and he was aggressive against his old team here, diving into the backline. He picks up the kills. Chachi with the flank as well. Fnatic thought they could push on that mid tower, and the Unicorns get a very, very good team fight. Great spike for the Kalista, both Blitherun King and Hurricane. And Steelback has been playing some very good League of Legends the last 2 weeks.
Incredible positioning, closing that fight out entirely, and Chachi goes in 1v3 effectively. So much damage and so much threat. And the point I was mentioning, at 20 minutes he had plus 52 CS over Gamsu, the highest of any top laner matchup this year in Europe.
This might be what Unicorns needed, because they weren't really able to use the map. I like the Baron attempt. There was no wards for Fnatic, and it was just a spooky ghost checking what was happening. Otherwise, that Baron had died. Just give them 5 more seconds, that Baron was down. But instead, they get a big team fight. Let's see around Dragon. It's not really a big deal for any of the teams. And Summoners used every flash is down for Unicorns. And there are 3 flashes on the side of Fnatic for the next fight.
But not on the primary front line for Fnatic. So Noxiac going to be relying on Headbutt Pulverize to set something up. For UOL, look at this, Baron focus. They've got a good set of vision. Relatively deep inside Fnatic's jungle, waiting for a face. Noxiac is the man to do it. He gets flayed forward, and look at that damage already. Unbreakable Will comes out. That will time out shortly, but Reckless will get damage down. The collateral splashes across the Unicorns of Love. They're going to back away. So another Baron attempt, dare I say thwarted by UOL themselves. Maybe trying to look for the kill.
Well, Unicorns had no teleport this time, so they didn't feel like they wanted to split push. And then instead, if you are feeling confident, you can find your AD carry is very strong at the moment. You start playing around stuff like Baron. You set up a ping or 2, and you basically say to the other team, either you come face check here, and we take this fight, or you just give us a free Baron. So obviously Fnatic had to go in, check it, but that's where Alistar shine. Yeah. You know, just walking in, pop his ult, he stays alive. And in the end, they only get a Dragon for Fnatic. But it does mean Unicorns can go back and do it again, because Fnatic spent the time going to Dragon, then recalling. Unicorns will already back out, and Noxiac has no ulti now. He has a headbutt though.
Yeah, not really gonna do a whole lot. Look at this, UOL, they're onto the Baron. The rest of Fnatic are trying to respond. But Kalista and Steelback, they've got a lot of stacks. Fox is taken out already. Death Sentence will find Gamsu. Baron secured by Steelback's range. And Gamsu, he's got himself a double. Steelback will pierce his way over the wall and try to escape. Charm will find Diamond Procs. Steadfast presence from Gamsu will not interrupt the Fate's call, and the rest of UOL make it up. They lose Chachi and Fox, the primary split pushers. At the very least, 3 members with Baron buff for 2 kills a tower. This is a tough situation to be in.
Yeah, Unicorns felt like, again, they could just rush to the Baron because Fnatic had recalled after Dragon. But with 1 member chasing after Noxiac, they lacked a little bit of damage to rush it down, and then there was no ulti from the Zed either for the potential fight. So honestly, just a little bit too aggressive play while doing the Baron ends up costing them a lot now. Fnatic is still not ahead in gold, but it's very even. Unicorns remain Baron down 3 members, I believe. 2 or 3? 3
Yeah,
it was.
3 should be. Diamond Steelback Hylissang.
Yeah, Hylissang is here with 1. And they can start pushing down mid tower with it.
Let's see how they use the siege, because the last few times UOL had to siege, they kind of dropped the ball. Got themselves flanked by Fnatic initially.
You can't really see this comp though, that's the issue.
Or split push with Baron, but then again, Fox and Chachi, they died, so they won't have Baron, but the 1-3-1 could be enabled.
Sure, I mean, again, it's so many of the things we talked about all the way back in Champs, so like how Unicorns wanted to play out this conversation, because again, if you keep playing 1-3-1, your AD carry is not really a wave clear AD carry. So it would be too easy for Fnatic to pressure mid tower then. And because Febiven rushed Hourglass, he could sit toe-to-toe with the Zed. And while Gamsu was losing top to Ryze, Ryze is not really a threat to your towers in the early game.
Yeah.
So Unicorns just didn't really have a lane where they were winning easily, other than just the Ryze pushing down Poppy over and over and getting a ton of free farm, which of course is fantastic for the big fights, and that's where they want to use Chachi now.
There's the Baron-empowered minions. 2 siege cannons sitting on the back line. A stun against the wall onto Diamond. Spirit's coming to try kill him. Keeper's verdict knocks him up into the air. Diamond is held in place before Gamsu tries to dodge away with a heroic charge. Hylissang wants to line up a death sentence from over the wall, but no target really presents himself, and Febiven was just trying to deal with the wave up top. UOL will have a numbers advantage, especially with Diamond coming back here with the ult.
And this is what we wanted to see earlier. Let Chachi split push against the Poppy because he can push in the wave. Let's see what happens mid though.
So the Deathmark comes down. Febiven is in trouble. We'll use another Spirit Rush and Flash to get away. Will at least mean no Flash, no ulti for the ensuing fight. Spirit will get taken out. Steelback is unstoppable. 5-0-2. Noxiac pushes Chachi towards the tower, but does not get the pulverize. Gamsu's able to stun Steelback, but Steelback's got a QSS. He removes it. Another triple kill for Steelback. UOL have the opportunity to break open Fnatic's base.
It's another fight, but again, the setup for Unicorns, finally they use Chachi, and the fact that he's so far ahead in this one-on-one, he can keep pushing down the lane. Diamond joins him with the Baron buff, and then you start pushing in. You start playing around him. Steelback has been massive in the fights, but it's been Chachi who's been doing really well in the one-on-one, and now Unicorns used it. He had teleport, he had everything he needed. Noxiac?
Oh, I'm not sure you want to be here. Does have his ultimate at the very least. May need to use it in a few moments. Unbreakable Will has been thrown down. Noxiac's going to back away. The Lantern from Hylissang pulls Chachi out to safety. 2 inhibitors, a whole bunch of kills. Gold, UOL in absolute control. The Fishio.
Good setup.
Kalista is currently 8-0 in the spring split. Steelback on form to make it 9-0.
She is everything that EU teams thought Lucian was in week 1. Spirit gets caught, beautiful hook from Hylissang, getting him in the dash. He goes down super quick. And now, because Febiven already used his ulti and Hourglass before, he's actually just walking in doing absolutely nothing. Obviously, Fnatic didn't want to fight here. It was a great hook from Hylissang. But then everyone just gets caught out. Steelback can clean up the fight. And just great to see how they use Chachi in this case. We wanted to see it earlier. We got some other things like Sneaky Barons coming in. Now they pulled it off. And they're still very strong because Chachi is such a monster on Ryze in this fight. So he gets so much attention. He might not get the kills, but Fnatic has to respect his damage. And that's what buys time for Steelback to sit in the back line and just hammer away, get the rents, get the stacks down, and then apply the rent.
As if Fnatic didn't have enough problems to deal with. Banner of command for Hylissang. Supers in 2 lanes. Chachi QSS as well. So even if he gets caught out by a charm or a stun against the wall, he's just going to remove that and get away. There's a lot of tools for UOL to use. Let's see, Dave. I'm going to get too impatient here. Wave clear from Fnatic is still solid in this top lane. You can see 2 super minions and a banner of command empowered ranged minions. Spirit's the man dealing with it, while the rest of Fnatic's trying to deal with middle and top.
Yeah, really very few options left for Fnatic. Try and land a charm where you try and one-shot someone at the start of the fight, but it's very, very tricky. You got the tanky members from Unicorns. Steelback is sitting very far back. QSS for Chachi. I mean, there's no one you can really catch a surprise here for Fnatic. And you have super minions spawning in. Unicorns technically can wait for another Baron if they want to, and then force a fight at the Baron if they don't want to risk diving onto the Nexus turrets. But you got so many minions just piling down, just keep the pressure up.
It seems to be the case for now, Deficio. UOL split their numbers. Fox is just gonna walk the top lane minions into the tower. Look at that damage from Thunderlords. Reckless is already down. Gamsu does stun Fox against the wall though, so they trade AD carry for mid laner, but that was one of the big poke and wave clear bots for Fnatic. Gamsu also used his ultimate, so that's a big disengage tool not available. Death Sentence does not find a member of Fnatic, and UOL realize this might be too risky and they back away.
Yeah, just wanted to see if they could land a hook and then get another kill, maybe finish. Instead, go back. You need... No, you have 3 pings already, honestly. You can go place them at Baron. Prepare for it, you get your Z back up. 20 seconds, and then that's where Fnatic has to take the final battle. But they're gonna have to walk in blind, most likely. And it should be all in favor of Unicorns at this point.
Unicorns, let's see how effectively they can close this game out. Dragon number 2, his inhibs will be up shortly, but the Baron, that's gonna be the straw that breaks the camel's back.
But so much of this game just goes all the way back to level 1. Where Fnatic is building this composition and saying, as long as we get a lane swap, we're not gonna fall too far behind them, but because Unicorns got those standard lanes with the smart level 1, Fnatic fell super far behind. And then, even though Unicorns didn't really split push away the victory, it was hard for Fnatic, even with some good plays, to really pull ahead of Unicorns a lot because they fell so far behind. And then we saw these first few team fights where Steelback was super farmed, had already played the Rune King and Hurricane for the first big team fight, and then he picks up like 3-4 kills. And then it was just a matter of time before Unicorns were like, okay, who's our winning lane at the moment? It's Visichachi. He has the TP, play around him. And then they set up another play in the bottom lane, and it works for them. So now we get the Baron set up. They're baiting it for now, saying, haha, we're on the Baron, come get us.
Yeah, they need to wait for Gamsu to TP and Noxiax on the front line. Look at that, Unbreakable Will's already been used in UOL. They split up. Say thank you very much, you've used one of your primary frontline tools.
Fnatic still needs to fight. They have to just go in and try and fight around this Baron pit. Hylissang is slowing them.
Let's see,
oh, he gets Spirit.
Connects onto Spirit. The knockup finds Reckless, and Diamond's actually in trouble. Noxiac, despite having no ultimate, is still alive. Diamond will be dropped. Spirit and Reckless still relatively healthy as Gamsu sits on the front line. With UOL losing Diamond procs, they may not have enough to continue fighting, and the Baron's been thwarted.
Really good fight here, though, by Fnatic, and it's the problem we often see from teams when they're about to finish the Baron and then a fight is happening at the same time. The communication can often be very split. Some say finish the Baron because you have Kalista, or people are calling for disengage and take the fight, and it just becomes very difficult for teams. And we saw Fnatic were able to start the fight, then move back a little bit, single out Diamond, take him down, and the fight was basically over. Buying a bit more time, inhibitors are alive. It's a good play by Fnatic.
Good defense. It looked like they were going to be knocked out within minutes of this game, and all of a sudden, with 35 minutes in, no more supers to speak of, Fnatic with some legitimate chances in team fights. But it is so reliant on being played perfectly. Like, I just think to myself, if Gamsu gets a good ulti and knocks away Chachi,
I almost
how
rather...
what will UOL do?
Almost
skill back.
Yeah, I want to try and see Gamsu if he can actually knock someone from the backline away from Unicorns. Because Diamond is going in alone. Oh, Noxiac gets caught again.
Well, Unbreakable Will's been used. Noxiac's rooted in place. There's no flash available.
That's a problem again for Fnatic. They can't really use him too much in fights now. But again, if Gamsu can knock away the damage dealers or one of them, you can single out the tanks. Because the tank at the moment is just Diamond and Hylissang.
Confident play from Hylissang. He flashed for that hook, but it didn't actually find his man. So, no flash for Hylissang. Boxes available. Noxiac, 1/3 of the Unbreakable Will, or less than a minute until it's available again.
And you see Fnatic put so much focus on the mid lane. Because again, that's what opens up for these Baron plays. But Unicorns are saying, you know what, we can make it back. to home base. We're gonna start it and force Fnatic to come down and fight us.
Gamsu's got his W down, steadfast.
Got Steelback!
He's found Steelback. Steelback's caught up, but Baron's been secured. There is the keeper's verdict and knocks Steelback into the air. Gamsu's almost soloed.
Still alive!
Steelback's starting to stay alive. He's hopped away. The lantern keeps him up. Hilleside knocks him up. Now Steelback gets the kill. Chachi will be the sacrificial lamb. It's 1-for-1, but UOL get Baron.
Oh, that could have gone so wrong, but great play by Steelback, and Fnatic had no follow-up damage. Gamsu had a good knock into the wall. Noxiac followed. There's not enough damage to take him down, and Fnatic clearly said, okay, Steelback is sitting just outside the Baron pit. There's a chance to try and get him down. Let's see it again. Look at Gamsu here with the flash. And then he knocks Steelback into the wall. Followed up by Noxiac. And only damage from Spirit is helping. So Unicorns get the Baron. And now it's just a very messy fight where Steelback is obviously singled out by Poppy. So this is good for Fnatic, especially because he's holding 2 members. And that's why they can also get 1 kill in the back here against Chachi. And then just trade 1-for-1, but they still lose the Baron.
So UOL, they now start up their siege once again. Split the numbers, split the buff. There's 2 exposed inhibitors to take down. The top tower took a beating from the last few sieges. And Fnatic, they are still not giving up. Despite it being a new year, despite it being new players, Fnatic and UOL are putting on a very exciting game for the first time in the spring split.
Yeah, you're also getting to the point where you're getting some tanky members. Remember Poppy, again, scaling so well with armor and magic resistance, getting 12% from W, 24% when she pops it. Like, that's a ton. Late game. Spirit, we talk about this Graves build all the time, Sterix Gauge, more and everything. Like, when people think they're killing you, double shield will proc, and you just become almost unkillable, and you become a big tank, honestly, with these items proccing. So they're very strong in the current meta. And it's very hard. We've seen in every teamfight, honestly, Zed hasn't been able to really find any targets. No. It's been about Steelback cleaning up and then Chachi doing a lot of the work in the start.
And where's he going to go now? Mercurial Scimitar for Reckless, QSS for Spirit, Hourglass for Febervin. Thing is, if the Deathmark can at least bait out one of those QSSs and the rest of UOL collapse on that target, in theory, it opens up an avenue, but we see it from Zeds all the time. 35, 40, 45 minutes in, the value declines from that ultimate.
And there's no flashes really on the side of Unicorns, so they can't make too many aggressive plays. Otherwise, what you can see is Zed goes in with Deathmark, forces a QSS, and then a Rise can follow up with Snare, and you lock down a target like that who can't do anything, and you can try and burst them. Noxiac has Flash, Reckless, Spirit, Fibbin, almost everyone from Fnatic for this next potential fight.
So much pressure. Death Sentence does not find Noxiac or Reckless. Fnatic, they're defending. We're about to hit 40 minutes. UOL are relying on the banner of command, Baron empowered cannon minion.
Hit the inhibitor, stupid cannon.
To put some damage. Gamsu is going to go forward, but look at that. He's been burst down to 1/3 of his hit points. This will at least secure 1 inhibitor. Down bottom, Fox.
Really strange play, man.
They're going for the next one. Now Noxiac still looking for an engage. Steelback and Chachi, they're standing next to each other. Fnatic, they now have to depend, again, supers in the middle lane.
Really big issue for Fnatic there with Gamsu taking so much damage. Noxiac was sitting on the bottom side. There's no real threat or anything from Fnatic's side, and end up losing inhibitor. Let's see what happens still. Unicorns are poking.
Chachi's popped.
They will get it.
Got his passive active, gonna move forward. Inhibitor still survives. So low HP. UOL, they've not backed away yet. 1 or 2 hits should secure it, but they're gonna
that's why you get baited.
Play this safe.
Oh, that's why you can get baited so badly, because you want that last hit on the inhibitor and then suddenly flash engage from the enemy ally. The fight is on.
Noxiac's looking for it. Steelback and Chachi, they're holding hands. If they continue to stick together, Noxiac may find the knockup he's looking for. The inhibitor is regenerating so slowly.
They're waiting for super minions in the mid lane. Someone has to go back and kill them then for Fnatic, but they got enough time to push Unicorns back again. Let's see, Chachi's flash is ready now.
Look at the supers in the middle, Deficio. They're up the steps. Fnatic are still holding. I'm watching Chachi. He's going forward. Has got the root onto Noxiac, but he takes a big chunk there from Reckless. Reckless is trying to wave clear. Death Sentence finds Noxiac. Unbreakable Will is up. Gamsu's going forward, trying to prevent the skips and the jumps, but the inhibitor still stands. It's up to 700 hit points. The thing is, there's no ultimate now for Noxiac. There's
Hylissang!
Fight Hylissang, but it's not really the man you want. Noxiac gets a 2-man knockup. The rest of Fnatic's backline are peeling away. Fox is stunned against the wall. Deathmark will get thrown down, and it will get cleansed away from Reckless. Steelback is jumping forward at the Hurricane. Gets some tags onto Reckless. Gamsu, the only victim of the fight. Super Minions run to the Nexus turrets, and Fnatic lose the inhibitor and lose Gamsu.
It's just another super close fight here, but again for Fnatic, they're struggling to engage. It's like Gamsu runs in first, Noxiac isn't there to flash after him, or he just had to use his ulti. And like they're really struggling to coordinate how to start the fight. And that really hurts them in these very, very close team fights.
So Fnatic have to do it again. 15 minutes ago, we saw Sheepy's face and he was grinning ear to ear. He looked like the Joker. Now, a lot more serious, a lot more stern. 42 minutes in, UOL. So it's the extended fight that led to the end here.
Yeah, so again, the first engage failed. There's no ulti now for Noxiac, so they get Hylissang. It's only the support. Flash combo in from Noxiac. I actually rather he just flash Q in from him and then knock Chachi back towards his own team if possible. And try and take him down and force him to flash away. In the end, they trade 1 for 1, but inhibitor went down, so base is open. Unicorns is once again in the situation where they can wait for another Baron. Try and make the same play they did before. Force Fnatic in blind. Take the Baron. Catch someone up with the hook or with, I don't know, Chachi flashing on them. We've been here before, Trevor.
We have.
Especially also between these two teams.
Last time, in this game, Gamsu was able to pull enough distraction and steal back to allow Fnatic to stall the game out. Taylor on screen backstage watching his team.
Why so serious?
A lot to talk about because the game's not over yet, Officio. Fnatic have held already. They've held many times against many opponents. UOL more than once. Let's see if they can do it again. Looking for an opportunistic amount of CC. No flash Reckless, no flash Noxiac. But Gamsu, he's got one. Flash heroic charge, there's a stun.
Yeah, but that's your engage. It is very, very difficult to pull up. We've seen it already. That synergy is not there yet for the new Fnatic lineup. It's all on Noxiac, and honestly, he's been caught out too many times. Had to use ulti early. He's not been playing well enough when you consider that Alistar was first pick. In this game at least. Baron is being started by Unicorns. Fnatic is pretty far away from this one. This Baron is gone.
They're very slow to react, and all of a sudden UOL can peel and fight if they want to. Gamsu would have to TP in if anything were to happen. Hylissang, he winds up, does not find anybody. The spooky ghost will reveal. Package available in the base. There's no supers yet, but UOL have got a gigantic minion wave to work with up top. And this could be the final nails in the coffin. Fnatic have to pull off a miracle defense.
First, clear out these minions here. Banner of command cannon in the back. Noxiac this time didn't use his ulti. Healed up, and Hylissang has really been baiting that out so many times, just catching him, then snare from Chachi to force that ulti. This time Noxiac saved it. He has flashed very soon. He has distortion boots. Distortion enchant on his boots.
Needs to find that engaged Officio. Gamsu's left.
Tough for him.
Gamsu's left. He's down in the bottom lane. UOL have a numbers advantage. Diamond, he has now left his team as well, pushing into the middle. Middle inhibitor has respawned. That will now be the next target. Diamond currently using the Baron buff to help out. Tower's down 50% up top. Look at the mini-map. Look at the faces. The tower is down. Noxiac's been rooted. He hasn't used his ulti yet. Unbreakable will be needed. Spirit's on the backline. He's been hurt just a little. Hold the line goes out, and all of a sudden now UOL, they've got the top inhibitor exposed. They've secured the middle inhibitor, and UOL are backing away. They're playing this one safe, maintaining control.
So far, Fnatic losing the expected. I think we can say mid lane inhibitor was open. They lost the tower as well. Bot lane 1 should spawn fairly soon for Fnatic. But again, it's just constantly super minions coming down. And then you're never first for the Baron either, so you don't have any vision on it. And Unicorns need like 5 seconds and the Baron is gone. It's so difficult for you. Unless you see a great engage from Noxiac and Gamsu, then I don't think Fnatic can win a team fight. Because Steelback is sitting so far back. He's gonna get buffed up by his support. Chachi is late game on Rise, so he's a monster. And Fnatic has to be able to get them.
2/3 of the Baron buff is already used. In fact, 3/4 now. UOL trying to get themselves another inhib. This bottom one will respawn within seconds. UOL just a touch early. They've got themselves set up in a very, very good position to just knock it back over once it comes up. Supers will push towards the middle lane. It's still going to take 3 seconds to a minute to get in there. And there's that inhibitor. So we're still dancing. We're still with Leonidas in the 300 if you're a Fnatic supporter. They are trying to defend the breach. They are trying to defend against UOL. Diamond has come back in with that Void Rush. Banner minion, Baron minions. Baron will time out in the not too distant future. UOL, they're setting up
another one. Noxiac has the ulti.
Noxiac has ultied. Unbreakable Will is down. Gamsu's going to need to find a target for that Keeper's Verdict. The inhibitor's been knocked over and Fnatic do not do it.
Chachi was right next to him. I mean, that's the way you just flash Q onto Chachi and at least you trade flashes with him. Because again, that's your chance to engage. Now you have no ulti.
Death Sentence found Gamsu. He has his flash. Noxiac has a flash as well, but there's no ultimate available.
Hit nothing.
Throws out the Keeper's Verdict. Swing and a miss. They managed to get a kill in Hylissang, but it does not matter. They've traded support for support. Steelback is still alive with a gigantic shield. All 3 inhibitors are down, and Fnatic, they have to somehow defend, but it is not looking likely.
Getting punished once again. And they only get to trade support for support, and Unicorns, they don't care. You're fine sacrificing Hylissang at this point, getting all inhibitors down. Man, as a coach, this must be one of the hardest games to watch, because you're sitting there and like you feel like you're winning this game, but you also feel like one mistake could cost you everything. So let's see it again. So remember now, Noxiac has no ulti because he was used before, so he gets that flash Q in on multiple members, but he dies instantly. And then fight goes even. But that's also because Unicorns are saying we don't want to hit Fnatic, we want to hit this inhibitor. Take it down and then just back away. There's technically not a real team fight in that sense, because Unicorns had no reason really to take down Fnatic members.
50 minutes is fast approaching. I think we're going to set a new record for the longest game here in the Spring Split 2016. And arguably the most inhibitors killed before a Nexus is killed. Look at that goal difference. Now this is a testament to both Fnatic defending and UOL being unable to knock that Nexus turret over.
Yeah, we have around that 15-minute mark where we saw that great play from Fnatic with Rift Herald into 2 top towers, into a bot tower, and then a mid tower as well. Like, they pulled ahead in the game, but then we had the big team fight where Steelback came up massive. Because he had been farming so well in this Kalista from that standard lane. And now here we are. Inhibitors down, another hook. Gamsu?
I can count on one hand how many games I've seen the team that has lost 3 inhibitors come back to win. UOL have got an army of super minions, and they want the Winions to help them out. Keeper's Verdict is available for Gamsu. He's looking for a target. Hylissang has found Feathervin, but the Death Sentence did not. A bootback will find Diamond, but Gamsu's are first to fall. Feathervin is backing away. Reckless still healthy. Hylissang has managed to stay alive despite being lobbed into the team by Steelback. The super minions are being rattled down by Fnatic. It's a 5-on-4 as the minions continue to stream in.
Oh no!
Oh God, Feathervin! Feathervin's in trouble, and he's down! Steelback continues to destroy Fnatic, and the Unicorns of Love in 50 minutes have taken down the Nexus turrets, have taken down the Nexus, and they have proven that the magic is still real!
UOL!
Confirming that this was officially the longest game of 2016 for Spring Split Europe. The Spring Split 1 and 2 from 2015. What a game.
Yeah, we saw how difficult it was for Unicorns to get that last team fight that could win the game for them. Just kept playing around the base of Fnatic over and over, and we kept being in this situation where Fnatic failed engage after engage after engage. Last one, they got Vesichachi, but he was able to then flash away, and honestly, it just lost them so much time with all the failed engages that all the super minions were pushing in. They help in fights, you know, they're dealing damage as well, sitting in there. They make it super difficult for you to land your skill shots because you have tons of minions in front of you. And that last fight was just almost impossible to win.
Serious looks across all of the players' faces. Fnatic look a bit heartbroken after defending for so long.
Yeah.
And UOL, they were celebrating immediately after. But on the walk back, as Sheepy was grinning away, you know they had to work very, very hard. But that man in your screen, Steelback, the end of the game, 11-0-4. Picks up another win for Kalista. She's currently 9-0 in the 18 games that we've played here in the European LCS. Magic ingredient, maybe.
And you can't really say Steelback did anything wrong in this game. Like, he won his lane, he set up a good tower dive on Fnatic when Noxiac gave up first spot, they took tower from it, it was everything Unicorns needed in the start. And in these team fights here, because Chachi could always flank in and because you have, you know, a Zed and a Rek'Sai zone jumping in towards the backline, that was always the focus for Fnatic. Their comp needed Gamsu Noxiac with synergy if they wanted to reach the backline, combined with then an RA jumping in. That synergy wasn't there. These engages were left and right. It was like, oh, hey, is Poppy going in? Oh, Alistar's not there, and then Alistar goes in after, and
that front line for UOL started all the way back at level 1. You know, the mind games from UOL to get their duo lane up top, to go toe-to-toe with Reckless and Noxiac, and Reckless and Noxiac not doing the camp. They were immediately behind from the moment they stepped into that lane, regardless of matchup, just experience alone. And I think a lot of credit to UOL for their early game decision-making that allowed them to build up that lead. Now, you can argue for both squads some of the calls in terms of defending and aggressing.
Sure.
Where, you know, both teams were caught out from times. But at the end of the day, UOL were in charge, they were in the lead, and they eventually brought home the victory.
Yeah, and obviously, again, the reason the game ends up being so long is just looking at the comps. We kept talking about like how difficult it is for Zed late game to do a whole lot, how difficult it was for Chachi to move forward, because, again, the front line was like him and the Rek'Sai next to each other, and that's fairly easy targets to take down for so much damage when you have like Graves jungle and everything for Fnatic. So it was very tough for Unicorns to not overextend in fights, and they just kept waiting for the engage to happen, and then they could do something, because Steelback was just sitting in the back, stacking up all the time.
Yeah, very, very impressed with UOL after a difficult defeat yesterday. Bounce back and take down Fnatic. We're going to head to Pyrotechnics on stage, who's currently standing by with UOL's bottom lane.
Thank you very much, Quickshot. I am indeed joined by Steelback and Hylissang of the victorious Unicorns of Love. First of all, Steelback, I want to talk to you. Welcome back to Europe, it appears. That was a fantastic game for both of you guys, but especially I just want to talk about this 11-0-4 score on this Kalista. What is it like to be back in Europe and pulling out numbers like that?
Well, I wanted to be back in Europe because I wanted to prove to everyone that I improved a lot from MSI, because I felt I couldn't prove to people that I improved. So it feels good to be back and be finally able to show my skill.
And you did it certainly well against your former team, I might add. And Hylissang, you guys have this very incredible synergy together. That's the kind of thing that usually takes some time to develop. How did it happen so quickly for the two of you?
We just synergize a lot of the persons, and like outside of the game, we're like really good friends. And I think in the game, he's a really good player. And when you play with really good player, you understand each other. You don't need much synergy. You just know like what he's going to do and what I'm going to do, and we just fit together like really good. And yeah, that's basically it is.
Something just clicked indeed, and I want to ask about this all over the map play. You guys have looked far more crisp. Gone is the chaos style of old Steelback. Where did this very clean map control game come from on this team?
Well, I think in scrims we work a lot about team control. And about the shot calling, everyone is giving their input in game, and we all agreeing with one thing. So everybody is a bit shot calling in the game, and I think this is the best way.
And it's certainly working out well. So last question to you, Hilly. Coming into the split, teams maybe some people underrated you guys, saying Unicorns would maybe be closer to the bottom of the table. You started off 3-1, and you've just knocked off Fnatic. So how do you think this changes the perception of the Unicorns of Love going forward in the spring split?
I think people lost a bit faith in us, in the Unicorns, because we were like really inconsistent in the previous season, and we were like going good against the good teams, but against the mid-tier teams we were doing really poorly, and fans were like, just no, they're not that good. But now that we have like really good and experienced players, they all give the input in the game, and we can work really good together, and we can do really well as a team now.
Fantastic play from the both of you. Thank you once again for joining me. I can't wait to see more of that magic as the spring split continues. But for now, though, we are going to send it back to the analyst desk to break down that amazing win by the Unicorns of Love.
Why, thank you, Pyra, and fantastic, honestly, to hear from that newly formed bottom lane there in Steelback. It must feel great for him to be able to do this, and a lot of it came from his play as well. We heard Fishu at the end talk a lot about the end of the game. Let's go back all the way to the beginning, because that lane swap looked like it would be deciding everything for a long time.
Yeah, basically if the lane swap happens, and Fishu touched on this in the game as well, Fnatic would be significantly ahead, but Unicorns of Love actually predicted. So the replay is here. We can immediately roll it. So what Steelback and Hillsang did is, like, when the game started, they walked already past the ward line. So they hid in under their tower, they just waited there, and then Fnatic, they're not expecting lane swap. So the result of that is no camp taken by Corki Alistar, camp taken by Kalista. So in an unfavorable matchup, they're also a camp ahead in experience, and Fnatic is caught with their pants down. So that transitions into a lead for Unicorns, but Fnatic do make a good move to catch up.
Yeah, this is exactly how Fnatic got themselves back into the game. They got that Rift Herald off opportunistic timing, then said, okay, well, we can see we can push in the top lane faster than you can push in bottom right now. So just a nice way of seeing that both teams had different game plans when it came to the pushing game at different stages. I like that Fnatic were able to take a bad situation and get themselves back into the game.
Yeah, one thing that we did notice is that Unicorns played a very controlled style in getting their CS lead. They actually could have, in my opinion, and this is very nitpicky and people may disagree, I think they could have actually smashed the 2v2 way harder, because Thresh Kalista completely wrecks Corki Alistar, and I think they could have actually had a bigger lead. But the fact that they got like a 30 CS lead there, the Rise got 30 CS ahead of the Poppy, that was just fantastic to see that Unicorns read the lane swap. They did their homework. They didn't play everything perfect, but it's still a team that is coming together, and yeah, I was thoroughly surprised.
And another thing that you could see from the Unicorns team is that yesterday they were fighting for the sake of fighting. This time around, Fnatic looked to push up in the middle lane. We've got another replay. And this time it was just better from the Unicorns of Love how they were getting into the fights. Vizicachi specifically coming into this one. He gets the teleport with the home guards and ends up distracting a whole lot of the backline targets here.
Yeah, so the fight actually looked pretty bad at the start with Diamondprox going in. Vizicachi buys a lot of time. He goes down. I think in the later parts, I think this is where Fox does a beautiful shadow later on here on Febiven. So keep your eyes on Fox right now. He's going to put his W forward. Charm comes out. He waits for it. Bam. Then he goes in and flashes onto Febiven. That right here is what I like to see from Fox, because that was a player we were harping on last split. It's like, yeah, Fox, not that great. He gets Zed, and he's called out playing, leaving Febiven without any other choice than to misplay. In the end, he outplayed Febiven right there, and finally, the Unicorns are individually outplaying their opponents. They're playing a decent macro game. You can still see they're in the building phase. A lot of things could have been better, quicker, faster, stronger. Daft Punk reference, but yeah, don't be daft. But still, good team fight right there, and they kept control of the game for the majority.
There are also just a couple of other little things that Unicorns were doing that just made it that bit harder for Fnatic. You know, in the Elements game, we saw a double locket. This time, Hylissang was like, no, you've got Nari and a Corki, I'm going to get a banner. So just a whole lot of little things, like as you mentioned, with the charm play, that kind of thing, the Unicorns were doing very well, and it's good to see.
Still want to see more blue trinkets from Fnatic, though.
Yeah.
They have this style when they're ahead where they really make great use of the yellow trinkets, but when they're behind and Unicorns were doing Barons this often, we need to see more blue trinkets from Fnatic. Because that Baron sneak that Unicorns attempted, if they actually didn't send Vizicachi in and just kept doing it 4-man, there was a good chance that Fnatic wouldn't even have thought about checking the Baron pit, and the game could have ended right there with a 4-man sneak, 3-man sneak potentially from the Unicorn. So Fnatic a little greedy, I think, relying so heavily on Noxiac to face check, as every time it was like, oh, Noxiac, you know, you gotta go and blow your ulti again, it's good. If they had more blue trinkets, could have avoided some of that.
Well, we'll be able to ask them about those blue trinkets, because Reckless will be joining us on the desk for the rest of the day after the break, because then we will also see Splice taking on Roccat as they look for their very first win of the split. Stay right there, because we'll be right back.
Premier matchup of the spring split last year. Let's see if UOL can bounce back from the defeat yesterday. Keeper's verdict will knock him up into the air, and Reckless will find himself a double kill. Steelback wants to get a kill, but Featherman goes golden.
Nice. Corki. Corki.
Nice one. Good job, mate.
There is the keeper's verdict and knocks Steelback into the air. Gumsu's almost soloed.
Still alive.
Steelback starting to stay alive. He's hopped away. The lantern keeps him up. No ultimate now for Noxiac. The
Hylissang.
finds Hylissang, but it's not really the man you want. Noxiac gets a two-man knockup. The rest of Fnatic's backline are peeling away.
Oh no!
Hook on Featherfin. Featherfin's in trouble, and he's down. Steelback continues to destroy Fnatic, and the Unicorns of Love have proven that the magic is still real.